Hello everybody, Mark Schaftlein with you, and this is the Schaftlein Report. It's Thursday's edition, and we're broadcasting from beautiful Irvine, California. Happy to have you with us today. You know, folks, if you believe, like a lot of us out there, that the dollar is falling apart because our government has over-leveraged itself, and you have little or no faith in the stock market, and you don't even want to touch cryptocurrencies, what should you invest your money in? Well, gold, of course. Gold has been around for thousands of years. It's the original currency, but you don't want to take a tub of gold in your backyard. What can you do? Call Genesis Gold Group and set up a gold-backed IRA. The dollar may collapse, the stock market could collapse, but gold's never gone to zero. Call Genesis Gold Group right now and learn about rolling your risky IRA back into a gold-backed IRA. And they'll even give you $10,000 worth of silver if you qualify. So call right now, 800-594-9698. That's 800-594-9698. Jeffrey, I'd like to welcome you back to Schaftlein Report. You're broadcasting from your home in Long Island, New York. Happy to have you with me today.
Glad to be here. You know, it's cold and it's rainy. I'd rather be in Irvine.
Irvine's pretty nice today. Hey, listen, let's get right to it. That congenital liar, Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, however you want to call him, but he's a congenital liar, has sort of finally met his match to a degree with the fact that he was censured in the well of the House of Representatives. It was really weird, though, Jeffrey. The entire Democratic Party applauded. You saw it. I saw it. I'm telling you something, Jeffrey, this Democratic Party is not your father's Democratic Party. It makes no semblance of it. Jeffrey, these are hard left-wing radicals. Schiff did something really bad. For years, all he did is look in a camera and lie. And now he got called on the carpet for it. What say you about Schiff?
Well, Shakespeare wrote about him. In Henry IV, Part 2, he said, "Upon your tongue continual slanders ride, to which every language I pronounce, stuffing the ears of men with false reports."
Yeah.
Is that Schiff?
That's Shifty Schiff, all right.
Or my other nickname, the bloviating barrister of Burbank.
Yeah.
Either way, I told you before, I wrote 30 articles so far about Schiff. He is a liar. Everything he says. We're not even talking about his, I know I have evidence that Trump did things, okay? Do you remember when he gave people money in Ukraine, comedians, to get pictures of Trump naked, and they turned out to be false? Or when he read Trump's dialogue with the president of Ukraine, and it was a lie the way he did it. We're talking about this guy is a liar, and everyone on the liberal side are going, well, he doesn't deserve this. You're right. He deserves to be thrown out of Congress.
Yeah, he should have resigned, but he would never do that because he's running for Senate out in California. Jeffrey, the crazy thing is this. Now that it's been exposed as a lie, all this Russia collusion stuff, it doesn't matter to Democrats. They hate Trump so much, they were willing to lie, effectively lie, cheat, steal, do whatever they can to defeat Trump. Now, at the end of the day, they did beat him in the 2020 election, supposedly, but, the fact of the matter is, Schiff lied for years. If this was a Republican lying, they'd be taken off every social media site. The media would have been all over, but no, because Schiff lied about Trump, the media was willing to accept it and actually run with it until recent events have proved him to be a fraud.
I wonder, because I was watching actually Fox Business, but I wonder how many other networks reported it.
Oh, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if none of the left-wing pieces. Well, they might have reported showing Schiff getting a standing ovation from the Democrats. So the question is, I guess from his perspective, is this going to help him or hurt him in his Senate campaign? I don't know the answer to that. But
I think it'll help him in California.
yeah, it could. All right, let's move on to some economic news here, Jeffrey. We have mixed things coming out. Some central banks around the world, China, are cutting interest rates. Excuse me. Others, like the Bank of England today, raised their benchmark rate 50 basis points because inflation is too high. Turkey raised their benchmark rate to 15%. Why? Because inflation is running 40% in Turkey. Jeffrey, the Federal Reserve has indicated that they are likely to raise at their July meeting.
They said 25 basis points.
Yeah. So,
Inflation is dead.
Say again?
Inflation's not dead.
No, that's and Jerome Powell was talking about that up on the Hill yesterday, excuse me, and today. Inflation is still high. It's in that 4+% range, which is double where it should be. But interesting things are happening. It is affecting these higher rates are affecting different parts of the economy. Let's look at the housing market where the numbers came out today. The median housing price, this means half sold for more, half sold for less, declined 3%. It's $396,000 now. However, the inventory, meaning houses for sale, normally a healthy balance, supply-demand, is 6 months worth of homes on the market for a 6-month period. That's not the case now. We only have 3 months worth of inventory. So inventory is still tight. Why is that? Well, you and I have talked about this. If you have a 3 or 4% mortgage on your property, are you going to really want to sell it and go out and buy one where you're paying 6.5 to 7? I don't think so.
That's right.
So a lot of people are, quote, trapped in their own home. That's limited the supply. Prices have come down some, but still not a whole lot. When you have less inventory, it's tough to have prices come down. But what you are seeing, Jeffrey, is this is a symptom of little cracks in the economy that you're seeing. I was speaking to a couple real estate people yesterday, real estate broker, mortgage brokers. Business is slowing because of interest rates. So look, it has an effect on things, but the fact of the matter is we do have somewhat of a housing shortage in this country. So I don't see rates really, in other words, supply demand, I don't see it reaching equilibrium for a while, Jeffrey. Now, certain parts of the country are different than others, obviously, but case in point, take Florida, 800 to 1,000 people a day are still moving into the state. You got to have houses to keep them. So, again, there's a boom in construction going on in Florida.
Well, they're running away from blue states.
It's not just happening in Florida. A lot of blue state people are moving away, going into red states.
Texas too.
Yeah, that's an old theme. It's continuing to work. But here's the interesting thing. You have to have income to keep up with these price rises, and a good chunk of the country, their income is not able to keep up with it. So we'll get into the politics of this a little bit later in the show. But economically, it's really a mixed market. Home builder stocks are really high because there's demand for their products.
Real income hasn't increased in 26 months, at least last time I checked.
Well, you've got a mixture of indicators out there, some of which are favorable. I mean, look, if you're moving, and you have to buy a house, you have to buy it. But
right.
People who are locked into these low rates, and again, Jeffrey, I did a little research on this. Somewhere 62% of homeowners have mortgage interest rates 4% or less that were acquired recently. So here again, that's a big number. So that may be contributing to why the supply of homes on the market isn't as high. Now, Ford, in some other, well, I don't know whether you call this good news, bad news, but Ford has been granted an opportunity to borrow $9.2 billion from the U.S. government to do what? Build
batteries.
Build an electric vehicle battery factory.
3 of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I'm not going to criticize this because, they took it out as a loan. Ford's on the, has to pay it back. The government is allocating funds towards battery production in the United States, so we're not depending upon China. Jeffrey, I don't have a lot of criticism of this one. This seems like to make a little bit of sense to me.
But I would feel better if they also did AA for my mouse. But yeah, I mean, we're dependent on China now for the batteries. If they can build batteries and even make them longer term, that you can drive maybe 400 miles. That would be a good thing.
Yeah. I'm not no criticism of that. The question is, can you get all the raw materials needed here to build the batteries? Because it's in somewhat short supply here in the United States. Anyhow, that was newsworthy of the day, and
Sure.
from an economic point of view, it should be pretty good news for the country. Jeffrey, it's interesting. Unemployment claims are still near 2021 highs. The unemployment rate is still 3.7%. Okay, inching up, but still under 4. So again, people are looking for this elusive recession. What are you seeing out there right now?
I see a lot of talk. I see a lot of people say we're going into a recession. I haven't held my breath yet because I haven't seen anything.
I've seen some indications that things are going to slow down. And I'll throw them out there too. Okay, we talked a little bit about the real estate piece. A lot of companies have cut back already. Okay, but people are still able to get jobs. Jobs are plentiful out in the country. We don't traditionally have recessions when we have unemployment under 4%. Now, if it ticks up into the mid-4s, that's a different story. By then, the old horse is out of the barn situation. But companies have cut back some degree. The Fed is likely to raise again at their July meeting. But the interesting thing, a lot of wealth was created in the stock market when the stock market rebounded this year, with the S&P 500 up roughly 14%, the NASDAQ up 30%. So you've seen a rebound in the wealth effect, and 5% savings rates, pretty good. So, Jeffrey, this balances out.
I had a professor in college who used to say the best indicator of a recession is look at the cardboard box industry. Because if they're not shipping things, sales are down for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it's an interesting thing. I haven't looked at the box sales.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. But right now, mixed results on the economy. Some strong parts, some weaker parts. But, that happens in anything. Let me shift over to politics here for a minute. Jeffrey, Representative Comer from Kentucky, who heads the House Oversight Committee, he's starting to get arrows from Leader Hakeem Jeffries. He's drawing criticism from other Democrats. You know what that tells me? That tells me he's doing the right thing, following the money trail, and they're bringing in additional witnesses here as this investigation into the Biden family bribery scandal unfolds or doesn't unfold. It's still under investigation right now. So he's drawing criticism, basically saying, it's conspiracy theory. Well, it really is not. They've been following the money, and there is a paper trail of it.
I'm very angry about the deal.
Explain further.
Well, if I forgot to pay taxes for 3 years and walked around with an unlicensed gun, my wife would have to be making me the cake with the saw in it.
Well, it's happened to a lot of people. Yeah, again, notwithstanding the fact a lot of people thought he got a sweetheart deal, maybe did, maybe didn't. But that doesn't relinquish the fact that he is likely going to have to testify before Congress. And one thing about taking that deal, which a judge still has to approve, Jeffrey, he cannot take the Fifth Amendment when he has to testify before Congress as related to this case. So, we'll see. But anyhow, my point being is, the more the Democrats ramp up their criticism of Representative Comer, the more it tells me he's doing the right thing and continuing to pursue it. Now, how will that play itself out? We don't know, but it is out there. And look, the president is sitting, this is according to Clinton News Network, CNN, a job approval rating, 32%. Now, that's below even the lowest figures I've seen. I had seen his job approval in the upper 30s, 37, 38, but I haven't seen a poll at 32. Jeffrey, is that poll an outlier, or do you think Biden's job approval I'm talking about now, is really
everything
that low?
I've seen has been between 38 and 42.
So you think it could be an outlier poll?
I think it could be an outlier.
Yeah.
And I don't think CNN is one of the more accurate polls.
Yeah. Well, if you look at some of the, quote, historically accurate polling groups, like Quinnipiac, Rasmussen. You know, in head-to-head matchups, Rasmussen's got Trump beating Biden. A CBS poll had Biden up by 4. Another Quinnipiac had a plus or minus 2 points. I mean, a lot of these pollings are within the margin of error. It's freaking Democrats out there saying, how could Biden not be just trouncing Trump given the fact Trump's had all these indictments? Well, it's not happening. And yet people view 71%, Jeffrey, of the country view Biden as too old to be president. So I don't know.
I think, though, once it gets close to the primary season, people are going to start hitting up Trump in the Republican Party, and it might hurt him.
It's possible.
I mean, except for Christie, because everybody knows he's a jerk.
Well, again, a lot of people are of the belief that if Donald Trump is the nominee, he can't defeat Biden because of his unpopularity among independent voters. That may or may not be true. There's also a belief that if any other Republican other than Trump is nominated, they will handily defeat Joe Biden. We don't know if that's true either.
Well, you know why Christie wants to run? He wants to be able to hug Obama again.
Well, look, that's
my guy's not running.
Yeah. Well, that's ancient history. Okay.
Friedman.
Yeah. Well, look, that's ancient history. But the fact of the matter is, we do have a new entrant into the race. He's a former CIA officer, former representative of Congress, Representative Will Hurd, who's really a moderate to speak of, a moderate Republican. He has nothing good to say about former President Trump. He's sort of in that Chris Christie lane, if you will. But Will Hurd, he served his country well. He was a congressman from Texas, and I happen to like the guy. Now, I don't necessarily agree with all his political views, but Will Hurd now joins the mayor of Miami, increasing the field for the Republican nomination. Any thoughts on Will Hurd, Jeffrey?
Let me ask you a question. Are you and I the only 2 Republicans that aren't running?
You know, I don't begrudge anyone an opportunity to run for president. It doesn't bother me in the least.
But it's just such a waste of money.
You may say it's a waste of money, but there was a time when Barack Obama announced he was running for president. He was polling under 5%. We never did get President Hillary Clinton. We never did get President John Edwards. And on our side, we never had President Mike Huckabee. We never had President Rick Santorum. So these early poll numbers, Jeffrey, they can change. I mean, there's a lot going on in the country. I begrudge no one the opportunity I
agree. But
yeah,
it's just that it's split. So they're guaranteeing a Trump victory.
That's conventional wisdom. That may be true.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think everyone has a right to try. And
yes.
Will they sort themselves out? Yes. The criteria that the RNC has, Republican National Committee, 40,000 donors. I think you got to be polling at 1 or 2% in the polls to get on that debate stage.
Going to take after South Carolina, people will start dropping out.
Oh, no, there's no question about that. But I go back to my original thing. Whether it's Trump Biden or DeSantis Biden, they really haven't polled other Republicans. Those races are very tight. So this is going to be a tight election coming up. Democrats are shocked that it could be close, given all the issues with Trump. Republicans are sort of shocked it could be close, given all the problems with having Joe Biden at the top of the ticket. Look, I got to tell you, if that CNN poll is accurate, and I don't know whether it is or isn't, but it is a poll, that if his job approval is 32%, then the next step, Jeffrey, is going to be, well, what's his likability? Democrats still like Biden, okay? And like Dick Morris was saying, that even though his job approval is down, they do still like him. According to Dick Morris, the next step in the equation is, well, once the Democrats quit liking Joe Biden, then they're going to have to find an alternative. And,
that was the thing that helped Obama. Everybody liked him.
Yeah,
everybody,
among Democrats.
even if you didn't like his policies, you liked him. You thought he was a good guy. I didn't, but the people who voted for him did.
All right. Yeah, well, the thing on the Biden side of the ledger is, will his personal approval numbers match his job approval? And right now, that's not the case. I think Biden, look, do you approve of the president? He's still in that 38 to 40 range. But if the CNN poll is accurate, and if his job approval, which is, according to them, 32, if the personal approval starts meeting the job approval, he's not going to get reelected if he's in the low 30s in those numbers when it comes time around election time. Now, we don't, it changes. We don't know where it's going to be, but those are just historical facts that if the sitting president, if those numbers are in the low 30s, he's toast. The question is, what's the alternative for Democrats? They're all lining up behind Biden.
Well, I think that if they find conclusive evidence that he took bribes,
well, he's totally.
There is no conclusive evidence.
Right, not right now.
If they find they did, then he's gone.
Right.
But people like him. One of the reasons why Trump lost is because he was mean to people. People didn't like him.
Yeah.
I mean,
irony of ironies here. Irony of ironies here, Jeffrey. What if, again, folks, we cut through the propaganda. We don't have hard evidence yet of this link Biden.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, I know you did. And that's important because we like to shoot straight here. Okay. But if a link is ever established that's credible, then I personally think they would drop Biden like a hot potato because they don't want to run damaged goods for a guy who's going to be over 80 years old at election time. So, yeah, we'll see.
He's showing it more. Last week, he said, God bless the Queen.
I know he did.
I feel bad for him. I had family that was like that.
Yeah, there's no way this man should be running our country, CEO of our country. If you look at it like that, in business, most business people who are CEOs, they got to retire by age between 65 and 70 to get some new blood in the corporation. That's not how we do it in politics, though. Oh, my God, we're in a hurry. All right, let me shift subject a little bit. I want to talk about some of these blue cities, San Francisco in particular.
Oh, God.
Jeffrey, this city, it's basically dissolving into chaos. I mean, everything. It's become a magnet for homelessness. Homeless people across the country, however they get their information, are coming to San Francisco because a lot of the homeless there don't live in San Francisco. But it's become a magnet for that. And then what's happening is, the crime has escalated. 40% of the prisoners got let out of jail. Retailers are closing. Office buildings are vacant. People don't feel safe and secure. Hell, they've lost 7.5%, 8%, 9% of their population. I could go on and on to the trouble. Jeffrey, this was a once great city that is literally becoming almost uninhabitable over a short period of time.
And it's not only the people leaving, that's their revenue base.
Sure.
And the more that people leave and the more that retailers leave, the less tax money they're going to have and the less they're going to be able to do.
Well, when you live in a place where you park your car and your car gets broken into or carjacked, you dial 911 and they hang up on you, and you're concerned about your worker safety. Who'd want to live in something like that? And apparently, a lot of people are marching with their feet. The
scandal was people were defecating on the street, on the sidewalks,
and they're attracting more of it. Hell, the government, the city or the county are handing out, alcohol to drug addicts and marijuana to drug addicts. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, it's really bizarre. I mean, and these Democratic policies of soft on crime, soft on drug enforcement, soft on everything, it's catching up to them. Now,
is marijuana legal in California?
Yeah.
Because it's legal in New York. And, I hurt my back and I'm in a lot of pain. And the doctors offered it to me and I said, no.
You didn't want to go down that path.
I said, I'd rather have an ice pack. Just my feeling.
Well, we hope that not only San Francisco, but other cities, all these blue cities are experiencing similar type things, not to the degree San Francisco is. Even in New York, Jeffrey, it's not as bad as San Francisco. But something's got to be done because you cannot have your city become a magnet for homeless people and expect something to happen. And what's also happening is all these illegals that come in, they continue to be sent to these sanctuary cities. Again, Democratic policies. Folks, you want to turn your city into San Francisco? Make it a sanctuary city and follow San Francisco's lead. Again, they're the most liberal and progressive, and you see what's happening there. You know, it's a little crazy. All right.
And news travels fast.
All right, let's shift over a little bit. Jack Smith's team, the special counsel, has presented Trump's attorneys with the evidence, in the document case. Jeffrey, what do you make of it? They've set an August trial date. You know that's going to be moved back. How's your assessment right now of the Trump document case?
I don't know if what the prosecution said is true.
Of course not.
That's my problem. So some of it was, to me, just propaganda. It wasn't proved. So I got to see what's proven.
Yeah. I mean, some of these charging him under espionage, that's insane. I mean,
no, he was sloppy. It's not. He wasn't even in their charges on what they explained. He wasn't giving it to China or Russia.
No.
He was just sloppy and kept it.
And stubborn. He said, the government's not going to tell Trump what to do. That's basically what happened. I don't know. We'll see. But, they did show up. Factually, they did give him the evidence. Trump's team now has it. Trump's going to see who testified against him, what they said. So, again, I'm of the belief this trial will be moved back probably at least a year from now. And if they moved it to July of 2024, if Trump is the nominee, it's not going to shock me to see it move past the presidential election. It really won't.
I would like them to do this. Maybe they could do it at the same time. I mean, Biden had stuff all over his house.
He really did. Yeah, that's true.
Garage next to his Corvette.
Yeah, the argument they're making is Biden voluntarily turned it in, Trump didn't. So, again, you're not going to get favorable treatment on that piece. Jeffrey, we got a couple minutes left.
I keep looking that way for the next point, and I haven't seen.
Well, all over the news today were stories about, the Ocean Gate, submarine. Nothing conclusive yet, but they did announce shortly before we came on air that a debris field has been found, near the Titanic. I mean, there are going to be news conferences on it. You never want to think the worst, but this obviously is not good news.
Well, I don't think they would announce it and schedule a press conference if they didn't know it was, unfortunately, the submarine.
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We'll tune in for that. But
you got to pray for those people. I mean, I just hope if they are passed away, it was fast.
Yeah, boy, that's a tough situation there. All right, look, we had to mention it because it's on the news of the day for everything. All right, Jeffrey, we're closing out a week. What did we learn this week, and what can we expect as we move forward?
Well, the first thing I would do is continue to pray for those people on the submarine, because you got to have hope until they find it. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, Biden's trying to revive the JCPOA, the Iran deal, and they're getting close to it.
Yeah.
And the last one was lousy. This one will be lousier.
Right.
And I would continue to follow Matt Lee at the Associated Press, because to me he's the best reporter on that kind of stuff. That's concerning. The fact that Biden's starting to give more money away. We said the Ford thing was good, but who else is going to find money to give to?
Well,
we don't have it.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, they didn't give it to Ford. Ford borrowed $9.2 billion. So,
I couldn't. I just think that we got to be as careful with our federal money as I am with my household money.
Well, the test is going to come this fall when spending bills, which originate in the House, get voted on, and we will see if those budget constraints, there's already talk from the Freedom Caucus and other conservative Republicans, they are drawing the line on spending when they put these bills together. We will see. I hope that is true, because this government has got to get its debt under control. We have over $31 trillion of debt and growing every day. That's unsustainable, and I hope it's dealt with. But
at the end of Bush 43, it was $9.5 trillion. So think of how it's grown since then.
Listen, it grew under Trump, and it's growing worse under Biden. So I'm not going to give anybody a pass here.
Oh, I'm not saying it was all Biden or all Obama. It was all three presidents since Bush.
Yep. Well, again, we're going to stay on top of it. We'll cut through that propaganda. I see this happening, Jeffrey. I see the divisions in the country continuing to grow. When I see every Democrat applauding Schiff, it just reaffirms my belief that this Democratic Party is hard leftist. As soon as people realize it, there's not centrist generally in the Democratic Party. There's a handful, but not a meaningful amount. So,
you know what I would like? One reporter to ask a Democrat, what's a MAGA Republican? What do you mean by that?
Oh, the Democrats are trying to turn that term into an insult. Republicans wear it as a badge of honor. All right, Jeffrey.
I would. Why not ask him? Ask him to explain it.
Well, I'm telling you, folks, the Democrats and the hardcore leftists, you hear them say it, those MAGA Republicans. Those MAGA Republicans are hard-working Americans. They happen to be different than Democrats, okay? But they love this country, trust its institutions, other than when Democrats are controlling them, of course. All right, I got to let it go there, Jeffrey.
Help this country before you help other countries.
I got to let it go. We're out of time. Folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening today. We'll be back next week. We got a lot of good things coming up to talk to you about. Have a great weekend coming up. See you next week.